Good morning. I'd like to call this meeting to order, the meeting of the Logan County Commissioners. Today is April 30th, 2018. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. Please rise for the flag salute. Repeat after me. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. Okay, we're going to go to item number 3. Any citizen desiring to be heard? Hearing none. Item 4. Consideration and possible action on approving minutes of April 13th, 2018.
I'll move. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes without objection. Item 5, consideration and possible action on approving a waiver of casing requirements for pipelines to Southern Star. Lonnie, you asked to have this put on?
Yeah, I talked to one of these guys, and they was wanting us to waive the casing on our permits. And I told them, I think it's a safety factor. I didn't want to waive it, but they wanted to come and present their case, so I asked them to come.
Hi, Lonnie. Wesley Smith. We've talked over the telephone several times. Thanks for having us this morning, ladies and gentlemen. I represent Southern Star. I work for TRC Solutions, and these gentlemen work for Southern Star. And there are 11 county road crossings, and Southern Star has a pipeline replacement on an existing 20-inch natural gas pipeline that currently is in operation and supplies natural gas to residents and some of the towns here. And the existing pipe is in casing, but a lot of the pipeline companies, majority of them, I guess, when they put new pipe in, they don't use casing because casing has been found to create some corrosion problems. And so what they do is they have gone to heavy wall pipe, and they go a little deeper, and this has been accepted by the federal pipeline hazardous agencies and the transportation, U.S. Department of Transportation, and so they've accepted that practice, and so so it's been a trend that's been going on for several years. And anyway, so we've applied for a crossing replacement for these 11 county roads in Logan County, and so when I mentioned it to Mr. Piercy, I wanted to bring it up front, as I do each time, just to make sure, because most of the older applications still have that on there. And in some cases, casing is still applicable for a smaller plastic water line or maybe electrical conduit that's shallower and those kind of things, or that run parallel in the county roadways. So that's the issue here.
Well, and my name's Bob Bath, and I'm the lead land right-of-way agent for Southern Star. And when you make the comment, Mommy, about safety, I mean, Southern Star, safety is our priority. And we wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't safe. You know, Southern Star is governed by, like Wes said, the federal government, which is the other Department of Transportation. And Southern Star will design all of our crossings based on DOT's requirements. And so we class up for all road crossings, railroad crossings, streams, waterways of those natures. It's actually heavier wall pipe in all those instances. So, you know, we increase the actual safety factor of the pipeline in those directional drills to get under those types of crossings. Like Wes said, when you enter casing into the scenario, you induce atmospheric corrosion. Our CP, our cathodic protection, is designed for the pipe to be in the earth and letting the cathodic protection protect the earth or the pipeline. But when you case the pipe, you open it up to the atmospheres with the venting on each side of the casing. So you naturally start inducing some type of corrosion issue to that carrier pipe that's inside that casing, not to mention If you don't get a good pull through the casing, you can actually short across the pipeline and that casing due to the cathodic protection, which now becomes a problem that now you've got a shorted pipe inside a casing that, you know, it doesn't get any better the longer it stays inside that casing. So, you know, I just want to reiterate that, you know, safety for Southern Star is number one, and if doing a directional drill and not being cased, you know, was a safety issue, we wouldn't be doing it. So, just, you know, I just want to bring that up there to you. We did a project last year down in Logan County. We crossed Oklahoma, the highway, and the Stillwater Railroad, and both of theirs, you know, had the reference of requiring casing in their applications. But like I said, we grade up to a heavier wall pipe in all those instances where we're crossing either the railroad or a state highway to alleviate that casing requirement. Like I said, because it does introduce a corrosion issue to the pipelines, and most federally jurisdiction pipelines now will, you know, do a horizontal, what's called a HDD, horizontal directional drill, under a railroad or a state highway to get away from that casing scenario.
So what wall thickness of pipe do you use on a pipeline?
I'm Tim Blackwell. I'm the engineer and project manager for this installation here. For this particular project, for the line pipe, we're using 286 wall, so just over a quarter of an inch. The grade is X65, so that's 65,000 psi, so pounds per square inch.
So what would you use under the road?
344 is what we use under the road. And if you look at the DOT regulations, and this is applicable for like a crossing under BNSF or you know, an interstate. I've done those at both locations. What they'll typically require is the pipe grade either be increased. So let's say you got a quarter-inch wall pipe and you are going to use a quarter-inch wall pipe for your crossing, you'd have to grade up. So if you had 52,000 for your line pipe, your crossing would have to be 65,000. Or you could use the same grade. If they're both 52,000, you'd have to step up from quarter-inch to the next step up in size, in nominal size. So you go from 250 to 286 or from 250 to 312. The thought there is that, and really the kind of a history of it, the railroads were the ones that initially always required casings. And they actually developed formulas to try and prove that casings were a better practice. In the process, the formulas, the calculations prove that structurally, there is no benefit to the casing compared to stepping it up, either in grade or in wall thickness. And so as a best practice across the industry, because you can possibly have issues, and historically you will see a higher incidence of issues at locations where you have casings as opposed to just where you have pipe. As a best practice, people are moving away from casings. You always have minimum requirements, so you step it up, and then you're also going to have depth of cover. If you go to ODOT and what ODOT requires you to do, you have to have a minimum clearance at two locations, the crown of your road and at the lowest point of your bar ditch. Can't be any closer than 4 foot from the lowest point of your bar ditch to the top of your pipe. Or you can't be any closer than 6 foot from the crown of your road to the top of your pipe. So whichever one of those gives you the most depth, you have to go with that. You'll see some variance. Some counties require like 5 foot from crown of road and 4 foot from bar ditches, but 4 foot is typically at a bare minimum what we would install it at.
But not necessarily for dirt roads.
No, it would apply for dirt roads as well.
Right.
Well, my point on this whole thing is, in 10 years, when the road has eroded down, which they all do in Logan County, and then I got a grader operator out there cleaning out the ditch, and if the pipe's not in the casing, he hits the pipe, I mean, there's a better chance that he's gonna poke a hole in it without the casing. Do you agree or disagree with that?
If you've got a 4 foot cut in your ditch, we have some major issues that I would assume have to be aware of. And if you want it
It
deep
happened,
in
I
that-
can show you 100
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
Where we've had to build the road back up, or you guys have had whatever,
Yeah.
have had to build the road
Another
back up.
thing that you can do there is you can install, I mean, you know, like a concrete cap over the top of it,
Yeah.
but that would require you to do an open cut.
Mhm.
There's no guarantee if you have a casing, you hit it with a machine though, you're not gonna rip through the casing and pipe.
It's a better chance you won't.
Yeah, and the problem with that too is that concrete gets exposed over time, and then it's in the way of any kind of drainage. And that's when, hey, I guess we need to get hold of you guys and see if you can build the road back up for us. I don't know, because, I mean, we're strapped.
The last few installations that I've done, and these are at county roads, these are, you know, unimproved or gravel roads. You know, that you have your minimum depths, but typically whenever you install, just due to the topography and the nature of the equipment that you're using, you're gonna be deeper. I mean, normally 8 foot of your bar ditches, maybe 10 foot at the crown of your road. A lot of times that's what you're seeing.
Where are you
I
proposing
understand that.
to do this? I
Pardon?
mean, what line are you proposing to do?
It's a
Oh, yes.
20-inch line
Right.
that roughly parallels Midwest Boulevard going north.
Gotcha, so it's my district.
Three.
I think
It'll be in 3. It's all north of Guthrie.
All one, yeah.
It starts about 2 miles south of the river.
Well, I'm just thinking long term. I mean, I know within the next 5 years that this pipe's gonna be fine, but you know, what about in 20 years? I mean,
Mhm.
when that road's down and
Mhm.
Not only erosion, it's not your pipeline, but we've got a similar issue over on one of our big projects on Coltrane Road, the north 2 miles up there. There's a high pressure gas line. Excuse me, a 20-inch, and it's within 3 foot of the current roadway. Excuse me. And they're trying to change the slope of that road, and we're having to adjust the engineering because of that. We can't get down within 4 feet, so now not only can we not take the slope down, we have to keep it where it is, maybe add material. It's a problem for us.
Your cased crossings are typically going to be shallower. You have to use different equipment to install the casing. Your pullback is more complex. And then also, you're going to have spacers to try and keep your line pipe from contacting your casing, which is what Bob was talking about as far as shorting it down. I mean, there are safety concerns with installing a casing, and there are safety concerns just with crossing the road.
Mhm.
And so that's why you have to step up and you have to over-design whenever you cross the road. But I mean, as an industry, if you look at what the federal government requires, what state DOTs require, the consensus is you install it deep, you install a heavier grade, like thicker wall pipe than you need, and that is a better option than installing a casing for long-term safety. That's kind of the best practice that's being pushed from, not just from the pipeline companies, but from entities like BNSF and the DOT and the state departments of transportation.
yeah, I'm not too particular about ODOT. I'm more concerned about our roads. But I mean, y'all's the only county that's come to us wanting to waive this. I mean, we've got pipelines all the time. Here's some permits now. I mean, how come no one else is wanting to get?
Are those open cut or are they
Now
bored
they're bored.
They're bored.
with a case crossing?
Yes.
Mhm.
I kind of was surprised, just to answer your question, I was surprised about that. We're doing ones in Oklahoma County, and I've done it in several other counties, and it's rather common. So I was surprised, especially being from Oklahoma and it being in Oklahoma County. I was rather surprised, and maybe it's just a coincidence, but it probably will happen, and so I am surprised. And you have a good point, and looking long-term future, or down the road is something you should be doing. But this line was put in
1930.
and so the erosion you see on dirt roads, in 50 years, could be a problem in some areas. But you have to take things, one location at a time. And that's what the pipeline company's here for, is to address issues per incident. And so I would just, and Southern Star will come out and address it because they're required to, according to the DOT, if there is erosion, not just because there's a complaint from the county, but because they're required by the federal government to address safety concerns. And so if there is erosion at the county level, they have to come out and address the cover and make sure that cover is maintained. But what you experience on your grading is from a pipe that was installed when there weren't federal guidelines. And the pipe was installed at a minimum, and you've seen erosion. So this is kind of a apples to oranges kind of.
That's that one pipe that was parallel to that you guys shut down. It was getting really close to the surface and it's causing issues.
It was about 6 years ago, 5-6
Yeah.
years ago, I believe.
Yeah.
South of here, yes.
Yeah.
Along Midwest Boulevard.
Yeah, parallel to that. And we draw gas off of that for our heating. And had to put a little station there. But
So what's this board want to do?
Well, this affects your area more than anyone else, so I'm inclined to default to whatever you're looking at there, Monty.
On me, if you're gonna give one a waiver, you're gonna have to give them all a waiver.
I mean, not to be picky, but how much harder would it be for you to go 6 feet instead of 4? Or even 8? You know,
Not
because
much.
you're going parallel to Midwest there, and there's a lot of those ruts that, like Marvin was saying, I'm gonna have to cut down, when we pave them. That's a high, what do you call, urban sprawl area.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna have to make note of that.
If we're not installing a casing, then going deeper is a pretty simple thing.
Yeah,
Normally, I mean, your statutory right-of-way is gonna be 66 foot, I believe.
right.
Okay, so we would order probably 3 joints of pipe for each road crossing.
That'd be 60 feet, wouldn't it? No, that'd be.
120.
That'd
Well,
be
typically
120.
between 100 and 150 foot is how long the bore will be. And to go a couple foot deeper is not much of an issue. Typically the minimums are not what drive the depths. Typically it's just the topography. In almost all the road crossings that I've installed, we wind up being anywhere from 2 to 3 foot deeper than the minimums. And if a particular locality has, they're not all the same. Like I said, sometimes it's 5 foot from the bottom of the ditch, sometimes it's 4 foot. So you'll always use that as your benchmark for your minimum. But typically during the course of the installation, you'll wind up giving yourself a little bit of, you want some measure of grace between your installation. You don't want it to be right at 4 foot if 4 foot is required.
So if we said you can go with no casing, you'd shoot for 8 foot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
I could live
is
with
this a
that.
cost factor in this? I mean, is it cheaper not to put casing in? I mean, is that why you're here, or do you here because they eat your pipe up?
No, I mean, okay, the railroads don't, you have to maintain a casing. So over 30, 40 years, the plastic components in a casing, they can break down. A lot of times what you'll go in and you'll do is you'll fill them with wax, but over time your wax can degrade. You might have vehicles that hit your vent pipes and tear them off. So there's things that can go wrong with your casing. You're pulling a pipe with spacers to prevent it from damaging the coating through another piece of pipe. If that doesn't go perfectly, then you may remove some of your coating. And if your wax fill doesn't go perfectly, you may get some moisture in there. And so we'll have test stations, regardless of whether or not we install a casing. We're gonna have corrosion test stations at all of these locations. And every year we'll have a technician that'll go out there and he'll take readings. But just because you have a shorted casing doesn't mean that you instantly have to repair it. It just means that you have to monitor it. And then we're also going to be running inspection tools, which is the main reason that we're doing this project, is we want to be able to run inline inspection tools from a location just south of the river to a location north up by Perry. Those inline inspection tools will actually generate a current and kind of take a reading of the pipeline as it goes, and they'll let you know you have corrosion, you have wall loss, or we're not quite sure but something's wrong here, you need to go dig it up. There's a higher chance in the future, long term, that you'll have an issue with a cased crossing than an uncased crossing. And that's the main, we're gonna monitor it. We're gonna go out there every year anyway, whether there's casing or not.
So basically, you're saying this is a safer pipe than what
It absolutely
over the
will be.
long run.
The coating will be, you'll have, I mean, again, on your line pipe, you'll have between 17 and 22 mils of fusion bonded epoxy to protect the pipe from corrosion. On bore pipe, you will have typically that same coating in an additional 50 mils of an abrasion resistant coating. So your coating is going to be thicker, and you're also going to be having almost an eighth of an inch more pipe at that location as well.
So even if we do hit it with the tip of the blade and put a little puncture or a little dent on there, knocking that coating off, it'd be a lot harder to knock that coating off, is what you're saying.
The coating will be thicker, the pipe will be thicker. It will be a stronger segment of pipe at that location.
Because that coating is really important to prevent erosion. I know because they had one with Plains Pipeline that was the situation. He got hit twice by a blade, and it finally corroded and caused a pinprick, and he lost quite a bit of oil out of it. But,
Okay, if we could get back on,
Yeah.
on track here.
Marvin, I guess on my perspective, I'd be willing to do the waiver on conditions that they go 8 feet.
8 feet.
And call us when you get ready to do it so we can come out and inspect.
Yes, please.
So what I hear is a conditional one-time waiver. This is going to be an ongoing thing.
Right.
That'd be my motion.
Have you bidded that yet?
I have a, yes ma'am.
My only thing is, he said that he's got 11 crossings. I haven't seen the crossings. We haven't seen them, obviously. If I could get them included, or at least an idea, so when they come in, we know which ones have this waiver I can attach once we process.
Sure.
So, can you tell me maybe the beginning, at what road point are you starting and where you're going, or?
Here we go.
Yeah.
And I'd also like to follow up on that, because I'd like to know what I could note on the applications.
If you would.
I'd put maybe like NA on the casing, and then put 8 feet on the deck.
They have not taken a vote yet, so I'm not going to assume the vote,
Okay.
but perhaps there'll be a notation of even this meeting day. I just need to have them singled out, that they're separate.
Okay, I believe we start here, so this would be 1, 2, 3, so 73 approximately. County Road.
33 north?
Yes.
Just north of the river.
Yeah, County Road 73, and it will, again, it will roughly parallel Midwest Boulevard on the east side of Midwest Boulevard. So going north, so you're 73, 2, and then 70, 69, 67, 66. Last one will be just south and west of Orlando.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
It'd be 60, I think.
You're not gonna-
There are some segments in there. There's a break in the replacement section.
Okay, we have a motion for a conditional one-time waiver
Second.
for 8 feet in depth at the locations that.
But we would like to have the opportunity to inspect it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes without objection.
Thank you guys for coming in.
Thank you.
You don't have to stick around, but you're more than welcome to.
For confirmation of depth, we generate a profile for all of our bores, and it'll call out your existing grade elevation and the installation elevation. We can provide those for each road crossing.
It'd be handy.
Okay.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Item number 6, consideration of possible action on accepting bi-monthly report of David Ball, Emergency Management Director.
I've been busy, buddy, for the last couple of months.
You put everything on one page in 3 months.
Hollywood paper.
And the paper's not even full.
Yeah, shall I hold it out here?
We should change this to bi-monthly brief instead of report.
What's it, attended lunch at one of those?
That was our LPC meeting.
Oh, that does say meeting,
Yes,
okay.
yes. That was a field day. Hey, we gotta share the love.
I move we accept David's bi-monthly report.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes without objection. Thanks, David. Number 7, consideration and possible action on approving contract with Civics Plus for development and annual service of the new county website.
I have emailed the contracts out for you all to look. In the course of this, we've discovered that the Civic Plus is actually a GSA contract. So Lowell has looked at it. One thing I need for this board, they have a contact information sheet. So you need to appoint who's going to be the emergency and mobile contacts with them. They're requesting 3. So I haven't completed the top sheet yet till I had that information. The contract itself is set here for you all to sign.
So I would ask Troy that if you have any recommendations on those contacts, I'm sure the board would be interested in that.
It just, what their request is, because they provide 24/7 support, they would like emergency support. You know, who would they call if something blows up and they need to do something? I typically get listed a lot just because of the courthouse access. I don't mind signing on. I would appreciate one of the commissioners signed on to that as well, and perhaps the sheriff. We're gonna have the same information on the next item requirement for the other part. So once I had that, then I could fill out the rest of this.
All right, so let's see, you mentioned a commissioner, the sheriff, and you as the county clerk, right? As
I'm
possible.
just throwing them out there.
Okay.
Mhm.
I think that makes sense. But
You need something else to do.
Well, I didn't see that on the agenda, but I'm in.
I mean, it's not gonna be me, cause I'm against this whole thing. I can't support something we only got one price on, so.
Okay, well, we only got,
$16,000 and we don't have another
Vendor.
a vendor to compare prices to, so, I mean, don't list me on it. Not that, I think we need a new website. I mean, I'm not trying to bash this company, but I don't know anything about websites, so. Just seems awful high to me.
just to clarify, as a GSA vendor means their government, it's a state contract price. That's why it did not have to bid, is it falls under GSA, which we are allowed to utilize. To clarify further, the total $16,000 bill, $2,800 is the annual cost. So the construction is 14 something. Just to clarify that.
We've done a lot of good for the Guthrie City Council, and it's done real good on.
I will tell you that
Oklahoma
Oklahoma County, who had
County.
been doing in-house, has stopped in-house and went to Civic Plus. Cleveland has picked up Civic Plus. Guthrie, City of Guthrie uses them. They've been providing the services in the state, county municipalities for quite some time.
I'm not trying to sit here and say it's a bad thing. I mean, I think, that presentation they put on was great. But is there another company out there that would do it cheaper? I don't know.
You would think they'd be in this though.
That's just my opinion.
When you go cheaper, you don't know till
Don't
you
know.
do that.
So anyway, I just asked not to be listed as a contact.
well, I mean, I'm more concerned with your other expression there than whether or not you get listed as contact, because now I'm
This hadn't come up before.
right. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean,
We
march
can
forward.
No. We're not going to march forward over your objection to it. That's not going to happen. That is not going to happen today. I promise you. So we put it out for bids, or how do we do this? How do we get
Who's
a
gonna
compar-
write the specs?
How do
Because
we
I
get a
can't.
how do we get a comparison?
It's on state contract. I mean, we don't have to bid it.
It's not, well, it's GSA.
Right, well, yeah, so that's a federal contract.
Right.
And the county's allowed to use federal contracts for purchasing, just like the state contract. I mean, as far as that goes. But if,
Well, y'all know a little bit about websites. I don't know anything about them. I don't know what to expect for that amount of money.
well, I do have some background in that area and wouldn't mind setting as a contact for the board if that's what you guys wanted. However, I'm still stuck on not doing this if this is something that you don't support.
I'm just, is this a good deal or is this not a good deal? That's my point. I mean, we can't compare it to what we have because obviously what we have ain't much. What this guy was offering that day was a lot.
Right. So, Troy, what does it cost us a year for what we've got today? I mean, it's still,
$1,200 or $1,300,
Yeah.
but it's not expandable.
right.
And I think the biggest complaint is there's been difficulty getting anything done.
And the annual cost of this Civics Plus is,
28 after build,
yeah, half a bill.
2,800.
So,
More than that.
I mean, from looking at what's out in the industry, to stand up a website like this for a municipality or city, government organization, county, state, whatever, is pretty expensive. That's sure. There's a lot of labor involved in that. There's a lot of technical expertise involved in that. They've got to engage engineers that make more than lawyers do, which is saying
That's
something. So that's the most expensive part, and then the ongoing maintenance. I, you know, from what I've seen in my experience, I don't think it's that far out of line. I don't, but again, that's just me. That's just me telling you. You know, I mean,
Sure. I'm not gonna beat you up over it. I just wanted to tell you my opinion. I just don't know.
I agree. I agree with you voicing your opinion. I mean, that's, and again, I'm not going to vote for something over your objection.
Well, I didn't say I was objecting. I'm just asking the question.
Okay. All right, sir. I'm not trying to put you on the spot either. I don't want to do something that we can't all kind of agree
I
on.
mean, if y'all think it's a good deal, support it. I'm just telling you, I don't know if it's a good deal or not.
I
Y'all,
think it's gonna really enhance our ability here.
Well, I
On
think-
the other side of the coin, could we do it cheaper? And if we did do it cheaper, how much
I don't know.
less would
I'm
installation
I
be?
understand.
How
I
much
understand.
would the
I
monthly
just-
bill be? But
Trying to come down on the
See,
on the
it's
side
very
of
much.
sanity. You know what I mean?
well, everything that he showed us that day, I mean, looked really good. Compared to what we have, it looked excellent. I mean, but I just had the question in my mind about the cost of it. What does a website cost? I do not know.
I can tell you the city of Guthrie pays more than our quote because it's more detailed for them. We're not collecting any money or anything like that. But ours is less than what they are paying this company for their service.
It's probably a good deal. If it's a bridge, I could tell you more about it. I just can't tell you nothing about a website.
This is a bridge to the public.
That's probably true.
Okay. Back to the agenda item. So we're here to approve the contract or not. That's what's on the agenda for development and annual services of the new county website. I will open the floor to a nomination or a recommendation on that.
Okay. So you want me to move on it? I'll move on it. I'll make the motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Okay, I will second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes with one objection. Number 8, consideration of possible action on approving contract with Civics Plus for implementation of a mass notification system. Sheriff, this is you. I don't know about that.
I know you're not gonna have time to read this before you vote, but just some information. Basically, when we had the Civic Plus web demo here, Dave from Civic Plus talked about they also have a Civic Ready program that is an emergency, I'll say emergency and routine alert system. The city of Guthrie has one that alerts their residents. Basically what this does is it's a platform that allows us to do notifications via text message, email, landline, text to speak, voice to landlines. Also hits social media as well as our website. The program allows for a limited number of administrators, so we could have multiple administrators as well as multiple users and unlimited subscribers. Something else you can also do is set up groups internally for notifications. Something me and Marvin talked a lot about, and Dave, as well in the meeting that we had with them on the demo, is I see this as a tool for the commissioners as well as for me in the event of a road closure or something like that. You can notify a smaller group as to 1/10 of a square mile. This road is closed. They've got the choice of signing up for how they want to get notified. Sign up can be as easy as texting your phone number to a number, or actually going to the website and filling out all your forms of communication. There's also a user app that if you want to, a lot of people are into apps, you can download the alert app and get alerts on your mobile device through the app. Some of the uses that we've talked about is road construction projects, be it a complete road closure or just you're going to have like one lane down for a while, put that information out. If there's a water line break somewhere that's going to affect an area of residents, naturally we're the ones that get contacted usually. Wildfires, criminal activity is the base side of the Civic Ready. Then they also have a module called iPause. Are you guys familiar with iPause? It's the integrated public alert warning system. Basically, if you got a smartphone, you get the Amber Alerts on your phone starts going off. It's the government or agencies allowing to push information to unsubscribers. So if we've got a wildfire going in a certain area and we want to notify everybody that's in that area, through iPause, we can push the message out there to every cell phone in that area. If we get a major wreck up on the interstate and we've got traffic shut down, going to be for a while, we can push information out that way. If we're looking for, say we have an active shooter somewhere, we can push information out to a geographical area. One thing we didn't ask for in this module is the weather service. Just for the simple fact that everybody has weather apps and all that stuff on their phones now. And in Oklahoma, we pretty much know what the weather's going to do from moment to moment. So we didn't offer that. But if we do know that we are going to experience some severe tornadic activity or something like that, we can push that information out there. May I
add?
Yeah. I've had a very brief conversation with OEM, and I don't think they're going to let us do that.
What?
Push out weather stuff through iPause.
No, we're not talking about pushing it out through iPause. He's talking about using the other function.
The other function we could, but through the iPause part.
So iPause, if I understand it, is only to be used in case of threat to life.
Well, according to FEMA,
Okay,
tornado evacuations, earthquake, Amber Alert, toxic drinking water, road closures, disaster relief location, power outages, train derailment, shelter in place, presidential notifications, disaster relief, shelter locations, wildfires, landslides, law enforcement warnings, power plant emergencies, road hazards, and blizzards. per FEMA. That's what they say.
And I think we have to have state approval
Mhm.
as well. And
Mhm.
the brief conversation that I had with Putnam was apparently there'd been other jurisdictions not doing the weather stuff to go this route, and it's caused a lot of issues. And so, I mean, we'll have to go through them as well, through the company.
Yeah, there's an
to
approval
get the
process.
iPods, to get the approval on that. But there's a chance, is my understanding right now, that we
So
won't be able to
So
use
the
it.
state
for-
wants to interject themselves into this process.
It's,
Yeah, we
yes,
can't
in the
use-
brief conversation that I've had.
Sorry, tornado didn't constitute
Yeah.
a possibility of loss of life.
So, with, one of the things that I thought was interesting, so right now, does the state emergency manager tell you when you can turn on the tornado sirens?
Yeah.
Okay,
Nope.
same thing, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I'm
I
saying.
mean, yes.
So one of the things that this could do is replace a bunch of mechanical horns out there that doesn't cover the entire county, right? This could has the possibility of doing that, right? And it's a little bit cheaper than trying to put tornado warning sirens up all over the county, right? So what do those cost each?
We're probably looking, give or take, 40 to 50 grand a piece.
Okay.
Give or take.
Yeah, all right. So
Yeah.
the other part that I thought was interesting and is we have a lot of wildfires in Logan County. I mean, it's Cedar Tree Central. We're in the middle of Cedar Tree country here and a lot of brush. And those wildfires burn quick and hot, and we got a lot of wind. So there's definitely a track of where those fires burn, and the ability to notify residents downwind and down the fire range of that for evacuation, I think is a good capability to have. It beats trying to call everybody up on a telephone or, trying to put.
Well, we would still go door to door, even
Right.
after doing
Oh,
this,
yeah.
we would still go door to door if need be.
Yeah, yeah. But you
But
do
it
a good
gets it-
job over there on the
Gets the
internet.
alert out.
We'll have people in this trial.
So this is a separate contract?
Yes.
Mississippi. So
Yes,
how
and
much is this
with-
contract?
9,800 and something dollars.
Gee.
And my thought is it's it's obviously a yearly contract. So we try it for a year, and if we don't see the value in it, then we don't do it anymore.
Is that per year?
Per year. Now I can tell you in comparison, the actual Civic Radio was 8,000 something dollars, the emergency and non-emergency notification system. The iPods is an additional $1,500 a year. For what the iPods does, we thought for $1,500, that's not a huge increase to be able to push notifications out there regardless if they sign up or not. I'm familiar with Blackboard Connect as well as Code Red notification systems. And when I was at the city of Guthrie, our contract with both of those companies was about $10,800 a year just for the city limits. And even with those contracts, you're limited on amount of calls you can make. So a lot of times I would sit and base, okay, is this something that I want to use my minutes up for, or do I want to wait until something bigger happens? With Civic Ready, it's unlimited. You can do messages every day. And the thing that Civic Ready does, as well as most of these systems, is as soon as you push that notice out, you get a report of how many calls you get, how many messages were received. You get the analytics of that. So instead of just hitting it and going, I hope it's working, you actually get the analytics of feedback, voicemails left, contacts made, phones that were picked up, phones that weren't picked up. And it's just another way I see it for David Ball, for me, for you guys, to be able to reach the people we need to. We post a lot of stuff on our social media pages, but there's a lot of people that don't have social media or don't check it every 5 to 10 minutes like I do. So this is a more immediate way of getting those notifications out. And like the assessor's office, if they're going to be in the neighborhoods and stuff like that, they could push something out in that neighborhood that says, "Hey, just FYI, we're going to have an assessor in the neighborhood," and so we don't start getting phone calls on. And there's a guy here, and I don't know if he's with the assessor's office or
that's
not.
nice. I'm glad.
So I mean, there's lots of things that we can use to notify those residents. And if they get tired of receiving those, they can opt out, or there's different options we have as administrators or your users to go in and set the severity and stuff like that. Because you can go in as a subscriber and say, I only want to receive, the most emergency alert that they're going to send out. So I don't want to get all the rest of the stuff.
So nobody will get it unless they sign up for it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Except for the iPods.
Except for the iPods. And the way I see that is if for some reason we don't get the iPods approved, then the contract's null and void if we can't get it.
To me, that was the thing that would kind of pay for this thing. If we didn't have to buy tornado sirens anymore because we use this system to do that. I mean, one tornado siren is almost $50,000. I mean, goodness sakes.
I look at it as useful if we're replacing an antenna or going across the road.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
We have to close it for half a day or something,
The
know?
The emergency notification side is,
Might keep people
Yeah,
from getting so mad.
Well, it's, like you guys know as well as I do, communications with your constituents on what's going on and things like that, or, something we deal with consistently. And as users, we will have an app that we can go on, type in a message, do the mapping system, it's a polygon, so you can take the little dots and triangulate it or expand it or make it smaller or whatever, and it just hits those residents in the area.
So could we type a message if your home was destroyed or hurt, contact us?
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
So who's it, is this coming out of the sheriff's fee or the general government's fee?
I would prefer kind of a general government.
I
Just
personally,
asking. I don't know these things.
I personally think that it's utilizing for countywide and it should be a general government expense, but that's just my personal opinion.
I thought emergency management and the sheriff's.
Well, if you can find money.
Well, not if the assessor can put out a report, or you guys can put out a report. I think it's a countywide.
And they will come and do training with
That's
us.
my next question.
Yeah, they will come and do training with us, with those that we decide that are gonna be administrators, users, the department heads. Sherry Longnecker, if she wanted to use that some way in the treasurer's department to push information out about taxes or things, because you can use the Civic Ready for anything you want to push out. Of course, I would think that we'd probably set some policies on what the county can actually push out.
and that's the piece that people sign up for.
Yes.
Is our push messages, right?
Yes.
The emergency notifications they get
Automatic.
automatic. Yeah.
Well, it is cheaper than a siren, I'll say that.
Thank you.
Definitely.
But you got a lot of sirens on that car.
We do. They're expensive too.
So we're gonna get rid of them?
No.
I want one on mine.
No.
Yeah, blinky lights too.
Not really.
But as I said, we try it for a year. If we see value, we continue, and if we don't, then we discontinue it. But the problem discontinuing it is some residents will probably come to expect these notifications. So that's kind of a double-edged sword. If the residents start to expect these when there's road closures, or if we're in an area, same way with us, if we're in an area and we got a crime scene and we're blocking off a section of road in the neighborhood, we're gonna alert all those people that this road is shut down. Well, once the people get used to receiving those notifications and then we do away with it, there could be some backlash there
It's
too.
pretty much hooked to it. Once you
So-
do it.
So along those lines,
It
the
is.
interface with our 17 fire departments we've got in the
Yes.
county would also be beneficial,
Sure.
if they're out fighting a fire and, they need to close off an area.
Yes. Well, I see, just like with Troy, on days that we close the courthouse and stuff like that, you can notify everybody, as well as we can set up groups individually internally for our staff that we can notify. If it'd be beneficial for my department, I set everybody up on like all my employees up on the notification list. If we have something happen, I can send one message, it notifies everybody to meet at one location or two. you know, in a rally, you know, if we've got a manhunt going on or something like that. I mean, it's, yeah, and there's more to it. There's more things that it does. You can actually do surveys on it. There's a lot of things you can do with it. I'm just touching on the high spots.
So what we're talking about doing is putting this in place on the next fiscal year, July.
Yes.
Right.
Troy, what do you think?
I think it's a great opportunity. I think there's a lot of information that's tough to get out. You mentioned when we closed the courthouse for whatever reason to be able to push that out. I see not only with wildfires and tornado stuff, I see with the commissioners with their roads. They're out doing a paving project, they're out laying a new tin horn, they've got to shut down a half-a-mile area, push that out. Everyone's attached to a cell phone. I think the notification part of that is really a good way to get information.
Well, and with it being a civic product, when you go to our new website and click, they'll have a button down there that you can click on to subscribe.
They'll work together.
Yep. Yeah, that's the beauty of having it both of the same suite.
And they can have a list of alerts that they want to sign up
Yes.
for radio button, so they click on each
And as
one.
an alert sends out, it also posts on the website too.
Right.
The price was better because we're doing the website.
Yes, they did cut us a deal on the price since we are doing a website combination.
So what would it be without the website?
Well, initially well, without iPods, it was 10,000 or something.
Yeah.
Close to 10 grand.
Mhm.
So they did shave a little bit off for us.
And we were able to work, because the city of Guthrie already has it, so we didn't need to be in their numbers, so that reduced it a fraction as well.
But anybody can sign up for it. You know, like if there's Guthrie residents that say, I want to sign up on theirs so I get theirs too.
How are they gonna know to sign up?
Well, they have to go to our website. Social media work.
What if they don't have social?
Well, we got Chris Evans.
There you go.
In fact,
Right
we can-
now, a mass amount of people are glued to their screens listening to this.
They must be very bored.
They are.
Best TV in town.
Could be.
Okay.
Well, I don't know, but, I mean, you said a while ago, not everybody has web, where it goes on websites and looks at them, so I don't know how you're gonna educate the people to
Got a
sign
few
up
out
for
there.
it.
Well, I think it's like David and I were talking, a lot of it's gonna be by, you know, by those that are in those areas that don't have social media and stuff like that. You know, somebody goes, hey, did you get the alert on your phone that, no, what are you talking about? Well, text this number. But because you can text like a 5-digit number and it automatically enrolls your cell phone in those notification systems. And you can get out by you know, I think saying stop, then it takes you out of the system.
I think as far as once it's implemented, should that be the direction that we go, you have not only Chris, Guthrie News Leader, Crescent, Logan County Courier. I think once it's all implemented, the news will be put out to the public that, hey, this is available, go sign up for it. So I think the word would spread.
And we can monitor how many people sign up through the analytics of the
How does
system.
they get it down to such a small area? Are you going by GPS on the phones, or are you going?
Well, initially, it's going by, when people sign up to register, they input their address.
Okay.
You know, and that's something that we'll have to explain. So if I go in, my assumption is, without having them sitting here, you know, once I sign up, then I sign up for everything. You know, if something gets pushed out, I get it. You know, until I go on the website and physically put my address down. And then you got all these different options of what you want to receive. So, I mean, it's not just I'm getting stuff.
that was my
from
thought.
off
You
Waterloo
have-
Road.
You have a lot of these older people who just
Well, I can tell you when I
refuse
was,
anything about internet, but their
Sure.
kids do.
and when I was
As
the
far
chief of Guthrie, there was, you know, if people needed to sign up, they could contact me and I would sign them up into the system for them.
But as far as locating a cell phone, Mike, one of the things that they're going to on the E911 system, on the new 911 system, it's not just the geographic location of the phone, but like you said, when people sign up for cell service, they put their home address
home
down.
address, yeah.
And that's now being entered into the emergency systems, and
That's
they cross-reference that, and then they're able to target a small geographic location for targeted announcements like that. That's going to come with the next version of E911, and it's also being integrated. That's how the iPod system works as well.
So is this thing harvest info from the
We,
user, and then
well, little harvestware
that
information.
info's not available
No,
necessarily
no,
to
it's-
anybody
no.
else? Or
No, it's not sold. It's proprietary, if you were, only for that emergency notification system. You know, they don't farm it out to credit card companies and all that stuff. It is completely
Yeah.
only for those that are wishing to receive notifications.
So a lot of security involved
Yes.
in this and such. So it's not like somebody going to get all those phone numbers and start
No,
tagging them.
absolutely not. They wouldn't be the company worth as the case.
Yeah,
I promise you.
So Damon, let's get back to talking about the money, right? One of the things that I was encouraged when you took over as sheriff is you didn't hit us up on the general budget, on the general fund as much as you could have asked for.
Sure.
Right, and so this would probably be a line in your, at what you'd be asking for in general fund.
Yes.
So what do you see that looking like this year? And I hate to put you on the spot because you didn't come here to talk about budgets, I know.
Man, I anticipate, on my estimate needs to be pretty close to what I asked for last year. Maybe an
Yeah.
additional 8,000 or 9,000 something, but we're at this point doing well with the money we've been given.
Okay.
So could I clarify that question?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you meaning that the payment for this would be from what he receives as the sheriff's M&O from general, or that general government M&O would be covering this cost?
Well, it comes out of the general government anyway.
Well, no,
One way or the
there's
other.
a difference between general fund and then the general government account within the general fund.
I guess what I'm saying is it all starts in the same bucket.
Damien, you probably answered this, but is there a limit of how many people can sign up for this, or
No.
the doors open?
Unlimited.
See, I'm still wondering about federal government. This is going through,
Well,
federal
no.
services and
It's only
Oh,
going through them for
what
the
it-
purpose of the contract.
purpose
We're not
of the
going
compact.
through them.
Yeah.
So
And
they're not going to have access
No.
to this information
No.
whatsoever.
No, that's the iPause side of the things, to be able to push, to use the emergency database, if you will, that's already there, to be able to access that, to push things out.
Thank you.
As far as the basic notification system, it's all us and Civic Plus, period. The federal government doesn't have anything to do with it.
So if they do some edict,
It's sign up if you want notifications, or not if you don't.
It sounds like a tool that people would use.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
it does.
And they'll probably use the website too, but.
I think they will. In fact, I think the new website's gonna be phenomenal.
So Damon, would you have a problem with the funding that how I describe it, that annually you'd ask for that? And if it doesn't work out next year, you'd come back and say, we don't need this anymore? Or-
Correct.
And we talk about it.
Yeah, I think it'd be I wouldn't wanna be the only person that says we do or don't need this. I see this as kind of a partnership with everybody.
I agree.
It's a system we'd be able to use.
So the way I kind of look at your office and your operation is similar to the way the state looks at the Highway Patrol, the Office of Public Safety. Okay, you are the senior guy in charge of life, liberty, and property. Keeping everybody safe and protect and serve, all that stuff. And so when we have an opportunity to bring something like this out, I think it needs to be managed by an elected official, right? It has that responsibility, and that's kind of, Troy, that's why I thought maybe if he just put that on his
Well, my only point
annual
with that,
budget.
Marvin, is, and I guess just to clarify, we have general fund, which builds the actual budget, and then the accounts within that. So when I say general government would pay for this, I mean account number 2000-2290. that pays the power bill and the phone bill and the overall county expenses. That's what I meant. The way you're taking it is his 0400 general fund 2290 would be responsible for making this payment.
Yes, ma'am. I think it either fits in his account or his account. One of those two.
Okay, so
Either emergency
that's
management.
where I was trying to clarify.
Yeah,
You don't want general government actually,
No, I think
okay.
somebody that's responsible for emergency management, safety and that sort of
Well,
stuff should have it in their budget item, as a line item in their budget. I mean, it makes it easier for us to, as the Board of Commissioners, to go through and look at the budget each year on what we're actually paying for, and I guess, in each office.
Yeah, but I really think it needs to be maybe an elected, maybe the county officers to decide if this tool is being utilized enough to, you know, instead of just the sheriff saying, yeah, we need this, I'm gonna ask for this in my budget. I guess we can always deny it though.
Well, yeah, we can, but I think that's a good idea. As we have our elected officers meeting, then that could be a topic should be a topic that we discuss. You know,
I guess from the budget part of it, I just personally think, because as far as who oversees it is a little different. And I think that this isn't benefiting just the sheriff or just the EMS. It benefits me, it benefits the highway districts that aren't even part of general fund. It benefits countywide, and therefore it should be a countywide expense and funded from county general M&O.
Right.
That's my personal opinion.
I could make the same argument for his cruisers and deputies. It benefits the entire county.
Well, I understand.
I do too.
But that's his office, you know. This is benefiting all offices. That's just my train of thought.
I understand.
I think it ought to be brought up for the county officers.
So what are we gonna do on this today? Are we gonna approve this or?
Well, I think what the sheriff asked is that we consider approving it, and then next year and determine whether or not it's been that useful or not, because we can drop it on a yearly basis. And you brought up the recommendation that we do that in concert with all the other elected officials to get that feedback from them. Is what I thought I heard.
Well, I'm just saying, I guess I'm on the same page as Troy. If every county office is gonna use this, it ought to be just paid right out of general government, if we elect to do it again.
Okay.
That way, everybody kinda got a little input on it.
Yeah.
Not just the sheriff saying, well, I think it's a good thing, I don't care what the county assessor says.
Damn it.
So could you put that in the form of a motion?
No, I didn't say I'd vote for it.
Yeah, 2-1.
I'll take it. So are you entertaining the motion?
I am.
Don't look at me, I can't make a motion.
I didn't look at you, I was looking at mine.
Yeah, I know you are. I'm still looking at that federal overreach, but if we bring this before.
Okay, Mike.
Mhm.
The,
I understand.
the only thing the Fed has to do with this is that they did a bid that allows any government agency to just, that's the only involvement of the Feds, is that they created a bid that we're gonna bounce off of.
But I don't mind bringing this.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that we
County
approve,
officers
because
do.
I think this is something that we will use.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? A motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I'll probably vote no on it, but I'll move.
But this is for bringing it before the county officers.
All those in favor say aye.
No, this is, we're gonna approve it today or we're not, one of the two. I move that we approve.
And then you
My
second.
point a while ago, Mike, just to make it clear,
Mhm.
next year, when this
Mhm.
comes up to renew, I think we ought to have a county officers meeting, and we'll say, was this beneficial to the taxpayers in Logan County? And we'll decide if we're gonna reapprove it or not.
And when we do have our training, the elected officials can be there, because I want them to be able to see it, how they can use it.
And when we have our budget meetings coming up
Yep.
pretty quick, we'll figure out where this needs to get paid out of, and I'm open for any and all of that. So I have a motion and a second to approve this today, I think. Did you seconded that, Mike?
I think Monty meant seconded.
No,
He
Oh.
made the motion,
You
you
seconded.
seconded.
I had it.
Okay,
You said it, I wrote it down.
Yeah, okay.
Awesome.
all right. Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yours could be right, Troy wrote it down.
Hearing
Must
none.
be, therefore it is, kind of like Facebook, right?
Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Here's-
All right.
I voted aye. I just
Motion
didn't say it
passes
very well.
without objection. Thanks, Sheriff.
Congratulations.
5 minutes late.
Come on, stickers.
Item 9, consideration and possible action on awarding bid number 2018-17 for electrical replacement construction in the show arena of the Logan County Fairgrounds.
Okay, so this, just to refresh you all, we received one bid from Gooch Smith Electric for $53,629. I did not hear from the Fair Board. I texted while we were sitting here, Dennis Oaks, President of the Fair Board Association, who said that they are good with this bid and would ask that you award it to Gooch Smith Electric.
I'll move with approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes without objection. Item 10, consideration and possible action on awarding bid number 2018-18 for one new mid-size utility vehicle, 3.6 liter grader for Logan County Assessor. Discussion.
Your turn.
Okay. I'm gonna turn down the bids. I would like to turn them down. Out of 4, 2 of them weren't signed, so I can't use them. And they don't meet up with what I want on gas mileage. So I'm gonna go for a lesser vehicle on the state's list. And it's about $5,000 less money-wise. And I have a letter here for you.
So you need a motion for no action, or?
Actually, what we will do is reject.
So
I'll move to reject all bids.
Okay.
have a motion to reject. A second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank
Any
you.
opposed? Motion passes without objection. Thank you.
Thank you.
Consideration and possible action on approving agreement with Jan Pro for janitorial services for the health department.
This is them still trying to reline up with the difference with their contracts. So this is janitorial services that they're gonna be moving into with the health department.
I'll make a motion.
Troy, just quick, did they, were they good with this contract?
It's from them,
Okay.
that they have made this request, Gunnar McFadden has signed off. What I think they're gonna do is the person doing their cleaning is gonna actually start working under this company, and then there's no issue about, independent contractor status.
I'll second Mike's motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes without objection. Item 12, consideration of possible action on approving a resolution accepting $100,000 donation from High Chaparral Development to District 2 for paving of Anderson Road, beginning at Simmons Road and continuing north for 0.5 or 1/2 miles.
Yeah, he already paid for it. It's done. So this is gonna make it so he can use it for tax purposes.
We've done this in the past. When he
Yeah.
put in his housing addition, he had the room, the
Mhm.
Atlas bill is attached where he
Terrible.
paid Atlas direct for the
Mhm.
section line.
So, we're just showing that he made a donation?
Mhm.
We're showing that the county received the benefit of the road on a section line road.
All right.
Got a half-mile pavement.
I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Thought we did that, didn't Oh, okay, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes without objection. I believe I heard an aye from you.
Yes.
Item 13, consideration of possible action on approving resolution accepting $604.80 donation from Sonia Noblin to District 2 for culvert to be placed on Dobbs Road.
Yep. They're moving in like crazy along there. Back to motion.
Have a motion in a second.
I'll second, but
Okay.
I'm not vice chairman, but I'll sign it as vice chairman.
All right, you're a good man. I got one question, Mike. I'm sure it is. Dobbs Road is a road that the county's accepted for maintenance.
It's a section line road.
Okay, I didn't recognize the road.
Yeah, we have Dobbs, Hera, and Potawatomi Road out there.
Okay.
Way out there.
Way
Yeah,
out.
we're doing a lot of work there on Turlock between
All right, I have a motion and a second.
Hot Road.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes without objection. Item 14, consideration possible action on approving the following permanent road crossing permits for Oklahoma Natural Gas. Parallel goalpost 3.4 miles west of I-35 and I-44, 525 feet west of the northeast corner of 35, range 35, 15 north, and 3 west.
Can you repeat that?
Yes,
I'm kidding.
I could. I could.
Miles west of.
So whose
Yeah,
outfit
I'm
is
good
this?
with it. Make the motion.
I'll second Mike's motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes without objection. Consideration and possible action on resolution appointing requisitioning officers from various accounts.
I have none
Item
for
15.
requisition.
Have none, okay, none. Item 16, consideration and possible action on approving receiving officers for various accounts.
One for the health department.
Dana Egla?
No, that's road crossing.
Oh, never mind.
So Troy, on the
Oh, thank you very much.
We will approve the receiving officer.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes without objection. Item 17, consideration possible action on the consent agenda.
Payroll. Mike, this is one for your district that you were supposed to sign up here, so you. Transfers.
if you had to close the courthouse on, would someone locally put that on the website, or you have to send that to them and then they post that on the website, do you know?
No, actually, we're all gonna have control of our
Administrative.
pages.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
that's speedy.
right. And then I guess we'll figure out on, with the emergency push thing that I'm not quite sure.
Once the decision's made to close the courthouse, the way we do it today, then I'm thinking Troy will
Yeah,
make sure.
it's a lot faster than having to call Kansas
Kansas?
and Civic Plus, where we're
Oh,
located.
yes.
No, we will have immediate control of all the stuff that goes on. Every office will have control of their page. They can change it as they need to.
So when you put the agenda on the website, will that go, you got somebody here locally can do that?
It's my intent to have it all out there, but probably with some additional stuff that isn't up there now,
Yeah, yeah.
because what's we have now
Limited.
isn't working yet.
Hot potatoes there, Mom.
Yeah.
Where about you at on the lay down machine usage?
I think they're gonna lay probably a mile tomorrow if the trucks can get there.
When you think you'll be done with it for this? Or you got one lined up after that?
No, I mean, we get this 1 mile done, we'll be done.
Okay,
for a
I
while.
got a mile and a half I need to start. Just whenever you get ready to get
Gonna
finished
be
with your-
available for about 4 or 5 days. Talking about paving, right?
Do what now?
You're talking about paving?
Yeah, we're gonna do a mile here pretty quick,
Okay.
hopefully this week. Sorry.
No worries.
We've got some patching to do with it. Good. As soon as you guys would be available.
Monty's got a mile, I got a mile and a half, and right after that, I don't have anything for probably another 3 weeks.
If everything goes like it should,
Yeah.
they ought to be done this week pretty easy. A lot of ifs in there.
Don't break it.
Well, the weather has a little to do
That's
with
one
that.
of them. characters only fund busy, ain't it? Wow.
That's why they call it revolving. It's like a revolving door.
However, new legislation just passed that we will be no longer using that account. The funds that go into that account are the inmate housing, where the federal or some of the local, that when we house, we get reimbursed for. The law is being changed to allow those funds to be directed to his service fee account, or his, what we call his fee cash account. So after November 1, we'll phase out of the revolving fund. And
So, Troy, is there a difference on the restrictions that those funds can be used for based on what account they're coming from and going to?
the verbiage is a little different. The verbiage for the revolving fund specified in the statute that the housing cost went there, and that after paying actual cost of housing, any of the funds was discretionary to the sheriff. Where fee cash is not going to have that specific, after paying for the housing of an inmate's cost, it's discretionary.
So it's all discretionary?
Well, yeah, but I mean, they have to feed the inmates and, you know, medical cost and that.
Yeah, I understand that's where it would come out of, but
So the way I'm understanding, that's really going to be the difference. So we're going to phase out of a revolving fund. I don't know the purpose. I don't know if the Sheriff's Association went after this statute change. I don't know. I just know that it happened.
I guess my question is, if they have leftovers after paying, after it gets moved to this other fund, they can use the leftovers as discretionary funds?
Yes. Which, I mean, they can now.
Okay.
Like with the money for the federal housing, they make a profit there. So essentially, you know, the law said cover all the costs, whatever it took to feed, medical, clothe, all of those federal inmates, and whatever money's left over, you can do with what you see fit. So that part of it will not change. Here is the election board claim. Also with some statute, I can either do it now or further down. I wanted to touch base with you all with some other legislation that's passed, just to make sure you know. So if you don't mind, you want me to do that now or later?
Sure, well, sign stuff.
Okay. So, pardon me?
Is that everything on consent?
Yeah, no alcoholic beverage.
I just thought we'd be signing later.
Absolutely. So, this one, House Bill 2702 was signed by the governor, and this is a bill that is amending and increasing the penalties for dumping, particularly the dumping. What was added to the title specifically says any person convicted of violating the provisions of subsection A of this section with any item of furniture or item that exceeds 50 pounds shall be punished by a fine of not less than $1,000 nor more than $6,500, or by imprisonment in the county jail for not more than 60 days by both or by both. So that was a big addition to that title for this dumping of this furniture and large items in our right-of-way that has to be cleaned up. It also goes on to say that the fines will be deposited to the county's general revenue fund. So that's on that bill. House Bill 3083, which has been signed by the governor. This is the bill that we've been trying to get for quite a while. ACO backed this bill. This is what, effective November 1st, we will now be allowed to trade in equipment against state contract or with other vendor.
That's great.
So that's been a huge, that will help us a lot.
Hang on just a second, let me get through this and we'll start signing some. So I think we're finished with the consent agenda. Any discussion?
I'll move we approve.
Have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
And I guess that's a second, Mike?
Mhm.
Okay.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, number 18, consideration of possible action on approving claims for payment.
Well, Troy, on that, I mean, like someone throws a couch out. That doesn't make no sense. I mean, how they gonna catch us on the couch?
Well, you would be surprised how many surveillance cameras might pick something up. Or there's something stuffed in the cushion that is a piece of mail that has a name and address. It's kind of weird how they can track some of that down, but,
Don's pretty good at that.
Yes, he is.
Can't prove they did it.
well, I'm just reporting the change in the law.
I know.
The other change, now we still have a few bills out there that could come through, but these have been actually signed by the governor and will become law November 1st. The next one is Senate Bill 1044, and this is a big one for you guys, in that this will now allow us to go back to using a 6-month laid-in-place asphalt bid.
Yay.
So,
And that was signed, you said?
it was signed by the governor, and so
When's it?
November
become
1. So what it will affect will be the 6-month bids that we do in December, effective January 1. I do have a question out to Lowell on a procedure change. One of the things about Title 61 that I really liked about doing road bids was the requirement of a maintenance bond. And so I think that I'll probably leave that part in the bid process when we go back to 6-month laid in place.
So Troy, what actually changed with the auditors are the ones that threw a shoe on the 6-month laid in place, right?
Right.
So what changed in legislation that allowed the auditors?
Okay, so what had happened is we had Title 61 out there, which, to be quite honest, wasn't even really I didn't know about it, because everything had fallen under, as far as we used Title 19 bid 6-month laid in place. Due to some situations around the state, it came up and people realized, oh wait, we should be doing road project bids or bridge project bids under Title 61, not under Title 19. Title 61 requires that any improvement or enhancement to a publicly owned property, and they determine roadway to be that, there's a different publication requirement under Title 61. The biggest difference between Title 61 and Title 19 was the requirement of bonds. We had to bond that, there had to be a bid bond with the bid. The winning bidder has to have a statutory bond, a performance bond, a maintenance bond on the projects. So that's the big difference between doing the Title 61 and under Title 19. There are none of those type of requirements.
Under 61?
Under 61 there is.
Okay.
So there will not be. However, I do like the benefit of the maintenance bond that is required under 61, and will probably keep that. I'm trying to figure out how we'll verbiage it in when I do the bids. Because the idea that they have to bond that their road's going to hold up for the next year, I like the idea of that. The rest of it, not so much. But what this will do is allow us to go back to pick up the phone. We know we have someone contracted for that 6-month period to come lay down asphalt.
I'll move we approve the claims. Second.
Have a motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes without objection. Item 19, any citizen desiring to be heard? Hearing none. Item 20, comments, announcements, questions by the Board of County Commissioners.
I got one with this new website take effect.
Once I let them know when it will launch and be up and running, we're hoping sometime after July 1st. It's going to take a lot to get us there. There's a big training involved with the building, which can start now, but it will launch sometime after July 1st.
That's all I got.
Okay. Mike?
I don't have anything special
Okay.
at this meeting.
We have received the application from the Crescent Ambulance Board, the 522 Board, for the new member. We have received that application as we asked for last time, so if everybody, make sure everybody's seen that, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I got it.
It was emailed out last week.
Okay.
I missed it.
Because it was
I'll look at
it was contingent, upon receiving that, and I just wanted to close that loop because we did receive it. And that's all I have on that. Consideration of possible action on adjournment.
Make the motion.
Second.
We are adjourned.